somewhere lost in the ocean of comments on one of my recent videos, someone had said about Americans that we live to work. Americans live to work. If you're in the United States, your life is built and based on working. Meanwhile, in Europe and many other parts of the world, people work to live. The reason they work is to provide a living for themselves and live a decent lifestyle. And I am not going to disagree with that comment. I'm going to 100% agree with that comment. I think culturally here in the United States, I think that the way we are wired, we're very focused on making money. Not necessarily just for vanity. Not necessarily just because we want to have big houses and big cars and all that stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with our economy, and a lot of people from Europe have pointed this out. When you look at our health care, when you look at their structure for our retirement here, I mean, my wife and I are very focused on our finances. We have much of our income just streaming straight to investments. And our plan is ultimately, when we finally retire, that we need to have $2 million saved away for our retirement. That is our mindset. We are not people who are in debt. Our home itself, when we moved in 4 years ago, we've learned that every year we've been here, it's increased in value $25,000. We can't not be aware of investments that we're making, planning for our future, and consider we came out of a lot of debt. Like many Americans, go through college, thousands in debt. Get married, thousands in debt. Now, yes, if culturally Americans lived with a smaller overhead, I guess it would be easier, like maybe in the 1950s when only one person had to go to work. And I will say, I mean, my wife and I both make so much money that if only one of us worked and then that we stayed home with the kids and just lived in a smaller house, we would be all right. But then goes to the retirement concept, because born in 1981, I'm assuming there will be zero Social Security waiting for me when I retire. So I'm assuming I've got to do all that myself. I've got to save that. I've got to be investing in Roth. I've got to be the Roth IRA, 401k. I've got to be doing all of these things. And so my wife, not to mention our kids' college. As you hear me saying all this, I'm speaking like an American in the United States who is ultimately, arguably, living to work as opposed to working to live. I wouldn't mind it being the other way around. I've been in other countries and I've seen how that works, and I like that. But I think arguably it's hard to exist in the United States if you don't have that mentality, because you get left behind, you get in debt. And even for us, we had to work very hard to live in the county we live in Tennessee, where this is the wealthiest county that we live in, the wealthiest county in Tennessee, the best schools in Tennessee. We're in that right county. But if we were one county away where we were before, the schools are not that great. There's crime, all these other things. So yeah, what I am saying is, if that's the concept, that I am ultimately just living to be working, I think the other way around is a lot better. I would rather be just doing a job just to kind of get by and be all right. But I think there's too much focus on getting a good education and a good, safe school. There's too much focus on paying for my own retirement. There's too much focus on paying for my kids' education once they get out of high school, their college education. I mean, you got me thinking. I guess I'm done thinking. I guess that's the thought. There's nothing else to consider. Usually I would say, do you agree? No, I mean, yeah, of course you agree with me. Everything I said makes sense. So there's really nothing left to say. In fact, this video will end up getting 0 comments. No one will leave a comment because I've said everything there is to be said about this in less than 5 minutes. No comments are even necessary. I've said it all. Usually I'd say do the comment, but not this time.